Welcome to the fourth in a series of 7 episodes about the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Today we'll be covering the only wonder of the world that actually had a practical purpose, the Pharos Lighthouse at Alexandria. A quick refresher on the 7 wonders of the ancient world. They were listed by Philo of Byzantium as the 7 things you simply had to see if you left the borders of your city-state and traveled abroad in the greater Greek-speaking world. As you can see, Philo of Byzantium was himself a Greek, so it's not too surprising that 5 of the 7 wonders are Greek in origin, and one of those 5 Greek wonders is the Lighthouse of Alexandria, which, as I'm sure you've noticed, is located in Egypt. So how did Greeks come to build a lighthouse in Egypt? Well, let's find out. Now, seafaring has never been an easy job, and it has always been dangerous as well. However, it was probably worse in ancient times. Storms, bad weather, hidden rocks, and poor navigation could end a voyage faster than a sheep at a wolf convention. North Africa's coast was especially dangerous, with its shallow water and many stones. However, sailors simply had to go to the North African coast because that was home to Egypt, not only home to one of the world's oldest civilizations, but also the rich grain reserves grown in the Nile River Delta. However, sailors did have at least one friend in these waters, thanks to King Ptolemy of Egypt. King Ptolemy was himself not Egyptian, rather he was Greek. He was a general in the army of Alexander the Great, which conquered most of the known world over a period of 15 years. In 332, Ptolemy joined Alexander in the conquest of Egypt. Only 9 years later, Alexander came down with a slight case of death. His generals fought to decide who would rule the empire now that Alexander was gone, and it turned out that the answer was none of them. None of the generals proved to be strong enough to hold the empire together, and so it was simply divided up, with Ptolemy getting a hold of Egypt. Ptolemy set up his capital in a city called Alexandria, which was one of the 70 cities that Alexander the Great founded during his 15 years of conquest. Those cities were not only named Alexandria, but Alexandropolis. There was even one city that was named after his horse, Eucephalus. As you can tell, the man had a bit of an ego. However, of the other 70 Alexandrias, Ptolemy would set apart his Alexandria by making it the new capital of Egypt, building Alexander's tomb there, and setting out to make it a great center of trade. There was just one problem, of course. The harbor was not very friendly to mariners, being shallow and full of stony embankments. So he came up with the idea of a lighthouse. He chose the islet of Pharos, which was located in Alexandria Harbor. Made of limestone, it would be the site of a 400-foot tall lighthouse. He delegated the task of building it to an Egyptian named Seafaring. The construction went on for over 40 years, from about 320 to 280 BC. Now, while there was much to admire about the Lighthouse of Alexandria, from its 400-foot height, to the marble paneling on its sides, to the statue of Zeus Soter, or Zeus the Deliverer, at the very top, what people talked most about was the light. Since wood wasn't very common in ancient Egypt, they either burned oil or animal dung, and the light could be seen for 30 miles out, and focused as necessary to help the ships make their way through the shallow, rocky waters of Alexandria Harbor. Of course, storytellers got a hold of this incredible light, and pretty soon they were claiming that the light could be seen 300 miles out into the sea. They also claimed that if any ship were caught in the beam of light, it would be immediately incinerated and reduced to ashes within seconds. However, the lighthouse became the subject of another legend. It was the legend of Seafaring, the man who actually built it. King Ptolemy himself died before the lighthouse was finished, and it fell to his son to complete it. Ptolemy II basically allowed Seafaring to complete his work. However, when the aging Seafaring asked to put his name upon the lighthouse, the royal brat flatly refused, insisting that his name and his name alone would be on the lighthouse, and he forced Seafaring to do his bidding. However, Seafaring was a wily one, seeing as how he's the one who actually built the lighthouse. So he engraved the king's name in a plaster tablet and set that over a stone tablet which bore his name. And long after both Ptolemy II and Seafaring were dead, rain and weathering ate away at the plaster tablet, with Ptolemy Ptolemy's name, and it eventually revealed the name of the man who truly built the lighthouse, Sesteros. So mariners from across the ancient world knew who they ought to thank. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Channel Legendarium. I hope you had a good time. If you want to see more, press subscribe. If you liked what you saw, press like. If you've got anything to say, please let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining, and I hope that you have a great day and a happy 2019.